Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a detailed look at the Unique Toys Peru Kill, also known to many as the masterpiece Lockdown. Now this is a third-party item created by Unique Toys and is based on Lockdown's appearance from Transformers Age of Extinction. I don't have the packaging to hand anymore, however I do have all the accessories laid out and this collector's card that Unique Toys Peru Kill came with. As you can see, we've got a very nice image of Unique Toys there, or Lockdown. We've got the Lamborghini mode, Unique Toys and Peru Kill. Turning around, we do have some statistics. I'm not entirely sure what they mean. I guess that's speed. That's how accurate his aim is, but I'm not too sure what the ATN stands for. We've also got Steeljaw, his gun, and Lockdown when he does combine with the gun. And you can just make out there the rear end of the Lamborghini mode. Now accessories, he comes with this massive gun that we see him use quite frequently throughout the movie, and it was used predominantly to promote Lockdown in some of the TV spots. Now obviously this is more integrated for the robot mode, but I'll take a look at it now. As you can see, it is immaculately detailed and does have a very strikingly good resemblance to the gun face that we see Lockdown transforms into in the film. We've got all these different spikes coming out here, and we've got some ammunition, some bullets sculpted and painted in there, some silver brackets, and at the back we've got the various ports and tabs in order to store it in both the vehicle mode as well as the robot mode. The second accessory that he comes with is the seed. Now if you've seen Age of Extinction, you will know that the seed is the main artifact of the film. Fairly detailed, but it's quite a simplistic design, so there's not a whole lot going on with it, and it is kind of useless as Lockdown can't actually hold it, nor can any of my other Transformers in my collection. However, it's still a nice touch that they included it. He does also come with an alternative faceplate. This is obviously the version that he uses when he's tracking down Ratchet and uses to shoot down Optimus Prime. It's got a very nice visor look. It does definitely look a lot better when it's on the figure, and I will demonstrate that when we get into the robot mode. But as you can see, this too is very nicely detailed. Another one of the accessories is this. This is actually Lockdown's hook, and it is on a hinge joint in order to swivel it out to create that hook look. This does integrate, as I said, with all the other weapons, mainly in the robot mode. However, I am just having a quick look at it here. It's very nicely sculpted, however there's not much in terms of paint. But from what we saw in the film, it was kind of this colour. We see him use this in order to torture Optimus Prime when he hooks it into his foot and obviously traps him in the Knight's Temenos, and also when he uses it to climb when he's near that, I think it was like a baseball pitch, he uses it to climb up to try and strike down Optimus Prime with Cemetery Winds. Fairly detailed and definitely does look like the hook that we see Lockdown wield in the film. And the final accessory that he comes with, and the largest of the whole lot, is this Steeljaw. Now these were on Lockdown's ship. They were kind of like his little minions, and they would hunt down the Autobots and the humans when they're on board the Knight's ship. It's very detailed, and it does have a very striking resemblance to what we see in the film. It doesn't transform, but the actual wolves in the film didn't transform either. It's got a very nice head sculpt with some really sharp sculpted teeth. It does have some jaw articulation. The head is on a ball joint. The arms or the legs are on a ball joint, as well as a hinge joint, and they can also swivel on these ball joints on the feet. The leg articulation at the back is exactly the same. So it's a fairly nice accessory. However, I do wish that they would have scrapped the seed and even maybe the hook, and have perhaps given us another one of these, or given us the option to have bought these separately. That would have been pretty nice, but it's still a very, very nice accessory nonetheless. Bringing in Peru Kill himself, here we have him in his vehicle mode. Now this is based on the Lamborghini that he was in the movie. I think it was a Lamborghini Aventador. Now as this is a third-party piece and not an officially licensed product, we don't have any of the trademark Lamborghini symbols. However, the actual look of the vehicle is very accurate to what we see in the film. Got some very nice paint applications inside the wheels, which may I note are rubber. Got the brake pads in there, and on the back we've got the tail lights and the engine. We've got painted in wind mirrors to actually make it look like there is glass there, and I am very happy that they've gone with this blacked out plastic for the windows. It does definitely give it a very authentic and real look. We've got some transparent clear headlights at the front, but these two are exceptionally detailed in terms of their sculpt, as well as the rear, as well as the front bumper. Due to Unique Toys going with rubber tyres, he does roll exceptionally well, and there is no problems with clearance underneath. In fact, underneath he does clear up pretty tidily. In terms of weapon storage in the vehicle mode, the gun does have a tab section which you can pull out at the base, and then you just plug this one back in and it will peg into a little tab in the back. It's not the best connection, however it is an option that you can use. Also, you can use this and plug it into the Steeljaw accessory or the Steeljaw figure, and you can have Steeljaw have the gun. This is definitely my preferred look when I'm not using the gun. I do definitely think this does look very cool, and could actually be a potential thing that could have happened in the film. So it's definitely a cool way to store the accessories. The hook has got a little tab which will peg into this port at the back, so you can store the weapons fairly nicely on Steeljaw as well as on the vehicle mode. However, it does look a tad unsightly when in the vehicle mode. Turning to transformation, it is fairly complicated. Firstly, you have to unpeg the bumper and just pull it up and leave it like that on the top. I tend to pull off the wind mirrors as they will end up in a different spot in the vehicle mode, in the robot mode. Come to the rear section and just unpeg that and rotate them around. You then are going to want to come under and just pull this out. It's fairly stiff, but it will just unpeg. And then this engine piece here, where the engine would be, I actually like to separate it from the legs. So just take it and put it up like that. That then does allow you to move the legs around and swivel them forwards. Now these pieces here, as you can see, we've got these sections. They just push backwards like so, which will then allow us to flip what will be the feet around. You then want to take these sections and try and pull them up and outwards like that, and then fold them in on themselves, and then they will rotate round and will sit into place. Repeat that process for the other leg, and then we can take what has been the rear bumper section and try and tab it into place on the back, and it will clip in fairly securely. Same on the other side as well. Then that's pretty much the legs done. All we want to do now is straighten them out, as they are pretty much complete. Now we want to pull down this section here. This will just then allow us to free up this entire section, pull the arms out, just bring them all the way to the top, unpeg these sections and lift them upwards, and they will clip into place like so. Take the side windows and swivel them forwards. Now this is where the entire back section will compress on itself. So in order to do this, you are going to want to just basically take this and fold it in half like so. And then there are two ports under there that will tab into those tabs there. And once you've done that, you should then take this section and put it backwards, which will present a small tab that will peg into the port on the back section of this piece. With the back section now plugged into the front bumper piece, we will turn him around, make sure that that connection has been pushed down all the way. Then you will see these small little tabs on either sides of the side windows, which will peg into the crotch piece. They are a little bit tough to get in properly, and you will probably disengage this piece here. However, if you just persist with it, it will eventually tab into place like so. Then moving down to the top section, you want to bring down the arms like so and fold it out and just rotate just where the bicep section is. Make sure that that's lined up properly. And then here you can see that there's this little hole section which is on a swivel joint that will actually tab into that peg there in order to lock the arms into place. And it can be quite difficult at first getting it in, but then eventually you will do it. Rotate the hands, straighten the fingers out, and then these rocket pieces here, they flip forwards and you can swivel them at an angle, and then the second set of missiles will just fold angle upwards. Do the exact same process on this side of the arm. Once you have repeated the process, you can then come up to the top section and pull this just above his head, hinge this piece upwards, which will then allow you to fold out Lockdown's head, fold that piece back and just bring it down, and it will tab into place. You then want to push these two pieces here backwards and you have completed the transformation process. Now, one step that I did forget to mention is where to place these when in robot mode. Now, you can just leave them on the feet, however I believe that's quite unsightly. Unique Toys have actually sculpted little ports for you to peg them in on the top of the arms to give him a more movie accurate look, and also to just give him a more natural look, as if they were just hanging on the bottom of the feet. He wouldn't look very natural at all. So just pegging those in at the top. We have the completed look for Lockdown. Now, firstly, I want to start off with the details, as I believe Unique Toys have nailed it with the likeness of Lockdown from the film. Here we've got his regular face, and it's extremely well detailed. Definitely does look exactly how Lockdown looked in the film. I do believe he did have a scar on the right side of his face, or the left side of his right side to us. However, that hasn't been captured here, but it's not a big deal. He does have some scratches on the front chest plate, which he does have in the film. We've got all this detailing at the front, and even tons of detail on the back, which I was extremely surprised about. We've got the spine and what would be the rear section of the vehicle mode. Extremely well detailed. All the arms are impeccably detailed. Bringing down to the legs, we've got the pistons. I think these are meant to be the lights of the vehicle mode. And then the feet. Spinning him around. I believe that the way that the rear section ends up is very accurate as well. So overall, a really impressive piece, and does definitely look exactly how Lockdown appeared in Age of Extinction. Now, turning to articulation very quickly, Lockdown does have some rotation in the head joint, however it is limited due to this face piece bumping into the chest plate. It can tilt back and forth. The arms can rotate 360 degrees, however it can get hindered sometimes, and they can hinge out to the sides. Due to transformation, there is a butterfly joint in there, allowing you to bring the arms forwards, which, if you look on my Instagram, I do actually have him posed with his arms crossed, so this does definitely help if you want to obtain that pose. He does have a rotation just below the elbow. He does have a double elbow joint there, and he has a wrist swivel as well as a hinge swivel. The thumb is on a ball joint, and the fingers are on two hinge joints. He doesn't have any ab crunch, unfortunately. However, he does have some waist articulation, and you can move this piece out of the back in order to get a wider degree of waist articulation. The legs are able to kick forwards and back that far, as well as hinge out a fair amount. Due to transformation, he does have double jointed knees, so they do ratchet back on one joint, and then they can ratchet back, well, not ratchet back, but hinge back some more. However, you do disengage this piece here, which is supposed to tab into that section. The feet can tilt forwards and backwards, as well as hinge left and right, but there is no swivel there. So overall, for articulation, it's a very well done figure. Now, turning to some of the integration of the accessories on Lockdown, I'm firstly going to start off with the faceplate. In order to put this on this, you would have just thought that they would have just allowed it to peg over the top of the pre-existing sculpt. However, they've actually made it so that you can pull off the pre-existing sculpt just by wedging your fingernail in and popping it out, and then you can just replace it that way. I have found that when you first get this figure that it will be extremely tight. However, after doing it a few times, it does tend to loosen and is a lot more easier to acquire the different sculpts. As you can see, it really does set the look for Lockdown, and he does look exactly how he looked in the movie. The second accessory that I want to show the integration of is, of course, Lockdown's battle hook. Now, there is a few ways of doing this. There's a few ways that you can move the hand around. I tend to just rotate it around and sit it flush along the forearm, and then take the little peg, plug it into the port, and there you've got Lockdown with his battle hook in the movie, and it doesn't look that bad. You can kind of tell that that has been his hand. However, from front on view, it does look like it has just become part of his hand. Now, one of the biggest accessories that Lockdown comes with is his gun face. Now, in order to obtain this on the actual robot mode, there is actually a few steps that goes into place. As you can see on the back, we do have a rather large tab, and we do have the little slot, or the tab that will slot into the slot on the back of his head. In order to do this, you need to actually pull the gun forward. It is on a spring, and then place it over the top of his head, and then that will just lock that into place. Now, that's a firm enough grip as it is. However, Unique Toys have allowed you to peg in this rod at the back into the spine piece, just to give it that extra secureness, so that it is not going anywhere when you are posing the figure around. There are a few ways to store the accessories on Lockdown when he's in his robot mode. So, folding up the hook, you can use that tab that I discussed in vehicle mode and just peg it into the gun. Turning him around on the spine, he does have some tabs on the back that will peg to the ports on the gun. So if you want to, you can have him with the gun overslung on his back, which definitely to me does give him this bounty hunter look that unfortunately we didn't see in the movie. Another alternative is actually having Lockdown hold the gun. In order to achieve this, you need to pull out this section here that we would have used to store him in vehicle mode. As you can see, there's quite a large amount of space in there that will go, that we can thread his hand through. And as you can see there is a small tab that will peg into the port on his forearm, moving the thumb out of the way. And there we have got a fairly secure connection, and he does hold the weight of the gun fairly well as well. So that is definitely another display option to consider. For a quick size comparison, here I have Unique Toys Peru scaled next to the MPM Bumblebee. As you can see, he is a lot larger than MPM Bumblebee, as was seen in the movie when Bumblebee and Lockdown do fight towards the end of the film. So I definitely think the scaling here works perfectly with your masterpiece figures. Overall, he is an extremely well-made figure. For my first ever third-party figure, he definitely does set the standard extremely high, especially considering that there are more movie releases coming out from third-party companies. He is by far probably one of the best Transformers or transforming robots that I now have in my collection, and he looks exactly like Lockdown does in the movie, so he is my perfect representation of Lockdown from Transformers Age of Extinction. I highly recommend this figure. If you enjoyed this review, please let me know down in the comment section below. Please like, comment and subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you again later.